drained. But I'm excited, believe me. I mean, the guys know how I felt all week about this game. But yeah, look, I don't think there's a surprise here. I've said it before. It's hard when you get down in the dumps and you were where we were at. It's easy to lose faith, but these guys never did, and we stayed true to what we're about. And they knew, they believed we were one play away, and that's where we've been. And so now we're making the play. We're making the one extra play. It's not costing us, and we're able to overcome some of these mistakes we were making earlier. So, no, our guys, they know they belong. They know they belong, and they know when they play football like we've been playing the last 6 weeks, we can play with anybody. That's the truth.
That is the truth, but it's a 17-game season. When you start 1-6, you dig a hole for yourself that makes it very difficult when you're trying to qualify for the postseason. Right now, the Detroit Lions, one of the best teams in the entire National Football League. There is no debating that, but they still have to worry about getting in. Steve Kornacki had the playoff percentages last night on Football Night in America. Yesterday tripled the Lions' chances from 7% to 21%. So there's still a 1 in 5 shot, but it's a lot better than they were going into the day. And if they keep winning, it will all take care of itself. They just have to keep doing what they've done. It doesn't get any easier. They go face the Jets, who are desperate to get a win and turn their playoff chances back in the right direction. But the Lions looked good yesterday, and it could have gone off the rails early. I mean, it had that kind of which way is this going to break vibe to it. There was a pass early on where Jared Goff hit a teammate in the helmet. The ball pops up in the air. If Zadarius Smith just sees it and takes a step to the right, he catches it and walks in for a touchdown. That's just one of those moments that potentially changes everything. And the Lions had a couple of long touchdowns. One had to have been a busted coverage. Jamison Williams doesn't get that open without a busted coverage. But the Lions kept the pressure on the Vikings all day long. They didn't give the Vikings the chance to pull the rabbit out of the hat or the butt or wherever they find rabbits. They find a different rabbit every week. That wasn't happening yesterday. The Lions were determined to prevent it. And I think that was the key. You could sense it watching the game. The Lions were not going to give the Vikings the hope that they could have another magical win that they could steal and then fly home with somebody shirtless wearing chains.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of those things that's kind of the attitude, right? You go into it with a belief that, yes, we can not only win this game, but we can win it definitively. And then the Lions show what they do. I mean, it's interesting to me because the Lions have not necessarily had a very good defense, let's say, to be nice, I guess, over the course of this season. But they've gotten better and better and better. And, there were calls kind of rightfully to fire Aaron Glenn coming from some corners of places, but instead they elected to fire Aubrey Pleasant, who was a defensive backs coach. And whether that's coincidence or not, I don't know, but the Lions have been winning and they've been playing better football since that point. So, you go from 1-6 to where you are now, where you're winning games and you're in games. And even the game you lost to the Buffalo Bills, you gave them all that they could handle. And now it's like, okay, you can kind of take that sigh of relief and say, man, it's nice that this thing is working out a little bit better for Dan Campbell because I love watching his press conferences and I think that's really fun. And it just kind of energizes me whenever I see that football guy talking about football. But B, it's good to see the Lions playing competitive ball because this is a team that has been one of the worst franchises in football for a very, very long time. Right. And now they're in a position where they can really, truly say that they can compete with anybody. And that speaks to what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are building from a football standpoint.
The Lions last won a playoff game, Myles, not long after you were born, the 1991 season. And I recall it's now been 6 years. They had a celebration of the 25-year anniversary of their last playoff win. And I remember thinking that's not the kind of thing that you really want to bring attention to. It's not a cause for celebration. Yeah. It's a cause for lament and regret. But hey, if they get in this year, they can make some noise. And that's one of the realities of any football season. You're going to have teams charging up on the outside as the season comes to a finish, and they're better, air quotes, better than the teams that started great and are just hanging on like the Giants and the Commanders. and you may get a lesser team qualify than one of these really hot teams. Can the hot team get in? The Lions, one of the hottest teams right now in the NFL, that is on the outside looking in. So it's fun to watch, and we'll see where they can go from here. They do have the Jets on the road this weekend. The Vikings missed their chance to clinch the NFC North. How about this? They've given up 400 or more yards for 5 straight games, a franchise record. Congratulations on that. And they are officially the worst 10-3 team in league history because they are the only 10-3 team in league history to have allowed more points than they have scored. So golf claps all around. And, you know, you mentioned the firing of Aubrey Pleasant by the Lions when they were 1-6. And I'm starting to see the calls, not just from within my own family. I'm seeing the calls elsewhere for Ed Donatel to go. And my son would sign up to be the president of the Ed Donatel Must Go fan club. I don't know that a change will be made, could be made, should be made. It's never easy to do, especially at coordinator. When your head coach is an offensive guy, you're throwing the keys to somebody else entirely. But it doesn't feel sustainable, Myles, and it's a recipe for what I said all along the Vikings were going to be. A team that makes the playoffs, maybe wins in the wild card round, and gets blown off the field by one of the best teams in the conference in the divisional round. That, once again, feels like the path the Vikings are on.
Well, yeah, and that's because it's what we keep seeing, right? I mean, Dallas going in there and blowing the doors off the thing really was not that long ago. And so then when you allow as many points and as many yards as you do to Jared Goff and that Lions team, and that, again, that Lions offense has been good all year. And sort of as an aside, if I were somebody who has a head coach opening this offseason, I would be taking a serious look at the guy we just showed on that broadcast there, who is Ben Johnson, who's the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. But regardless, if you are the Minnesota Vikings, you have to be able to tighten up more defensively, because you can't expect that you're really going to compete for championships if you allow this many yards, this many points on a consistent basis. It is very odd to have a team with that good of a record and a negative point differential. That's just strange. You don't usually see that, right? I mean, you just pointed it out. So I don't necessarily know what they got to do to tighten that thing up defensively, but they've got to do it, because even Justin Jefferson and his incredible day yesterday could not save the Vikings from what was their ultimate outcome.
Yeah, it is amazing what the Vikings have done offensively, and you couple it with a defense. It's bend but don't break, but sometimes they break. And yesterday, they broke. And look, they still had a chance. You know, when the Vikings cut it to 31-23 with 2 minutes and 49 seconds left and a couple of timeouts, I was surprised they did an onside kick, frankly. I thought they were okay to go ahead and kick it deep. You got the 2-minute warning. You got 2 timeouts. You'd like to get a shorter field for your offense to work with. I really didn't agree with the onside kick, but then they got it down to 3rd and 7 with 2 minutes to go. And now all they had to do was make a stop there, and they were going to have a chance to make some magic. And that's when Penei Sewell goes left to right across the formation, runs the pass route, catches the ball, gets the first down. Now, I do want to point out a couple of things, and we'll probably take a look at this on Wednesday for after further review. There was blatant blocking more than a yard downfield, so it should have been offensive pass interference. And also, I think Penei was moving forward at the snap. No, he wasn't. But look at the blocking downfield on Patrick Peterson. More than a yard downfield. Should have been offensive pass interference, but wasn't. And he makes the catch, dives for the first down, and the Lions seal the deal in a moment where the Vikings otherwise would step up and make a play. So again, they reversed that magic that the Vikings have had going. There hasn't been a whole lot of magic for the Tennessee Titans. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.